Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Thank you for joining me. My name is Chuck Tomasi, and you are watching Community Livestream. This is the show where I go through questions and issues and stuff in the ServiceNow community and take you on a journey of exploration and learning to provide not only the answers, but the thought process, the insights, the discovery, the learning that goes on, the explanation behind those answers to help you be a more effective administrator and developer. I am just making sure everything is technically running on this end. Do a quick refresh of the screen and see what I get. I'm not seeing the notification. I am streaming on Twitch. Haven't seen the notification come up yet for YouTube, but I'm going to continue with the pre-roll just in case. If you are watching live, thank you very much. This is available on YouTube at the URL you can see over here. If you subscribe, you'll get a notification. Eventually, I think sometimes it's a minute or two behind. Still looking for it. And still doing a refresh on my monitor on this end to make sure that we actually are streaming. Something might be up with YouTube. I'll check it out. But Twitch seems to be working just fine, which reminds me that we are also doing this on Twitch. So if get the right keyboard in there. Had a lot of fun doing this all by myself, especially after a couple of days off. I've been in San Diego at Developer Days. It was a wonderful event attended by lots of people both days. We went through the basics of building an application. We went through some metric base. We went through Integration Hub. We talked about the platform. Great social and networking time. Thank you for everybody who came out to that. Look forward to more Developer Days events in EMEA and the US coming up in October and November. So hopefully see you at one of those. I'll tell you how you can keep tabs on that in just a bit. If you are watching live, certainly give a shout out, say hello. Would love to hear from you. And if you have more than that, then please go over and visit the community at community.servicenow and post your question or issue about ServiceNow so that others can join in the conversation. Others can benefit from the answers. It is searchable, SEO, all of that good stuff. Very tough to do if we try to answer these things in a YouTube chat. One more quick check. See if YouTube wants to. There we go. There we go. And of course, the notification has come up. So we are live. Thank you, Rafi, for joining us. Hope to see you in Sydney as well. Boy, that's coming up quick. It's another, 10 days away? I leave in about a week. So I will see you on Tuesday morning, which reminds me, we have other things that are coming up that, let's just get on the right keyboard again here. I've switched things around a little bit. My brain wants to do the old habits. Developer.servicenow.com is where you can get a free personal developer instance, free learning plans, get yourself experienced as a developer. The APIs for all of the scripting is over there. We've also got lots and lots of great discussion. Dave and Andrew are posting blog entries, new features in London going up there, lots of good discussions happening. So take a look at developer.servicenow.com. We've also got meetups that are happening over there. There's a meetup option on the screen. You can find that out, or you can drill into meetup.com/ let's put that away so we can see it, /ServiceNow Dev Program, and get meetup information. There were a couple this week. There's a couple more next week. There's, of course, the Melbourne and Munich that I will be at that are coming up. Got a lot of global travel coming up in mid-October, and look forward to seeing many of you. Thank you for coming out to those. If you want to start a chapter, let us know. Looks like we're going to be starting one in Southern California, the San Diego area. So look forward to seeing announcements on that. I've tried whenever possible to get to new chapter launches. So that would be a very easy one for me to get to. Unfortunately, I didn't get to the Sacramento one because I was in San Diego. Not Sacramento, Salt Lake City, on the 25th. That didn't quite work out as expected. So I missed a new chapter launch. Have to try that again. Chris, good morning to you. Good to see you. Yeah, good to everybody who's joining up. This is the community live stream. If you want other information about events, go over to the events page at servicenow.com/events.html. Snugs, Now Forum, Now Summit, Developer Days, meetups. There's lots of good information over there. So take a look at that. I encourage you and stay active in your ServiceNow community. Excuse me. Shaking off some morning cobwebs here. Any moment we should have the garbage truck coming by. Oh, this happened on Tuesday. I got to take that slide down. We're planning for the next one on October 23rd, which will be about building your first application on ServiceNow. So if you've got no coders in your enterprise, you've got process owners, line of business, subject matter experts who are filling up your queue with development requests, next one will be for you. I'll get that registration link as soon as I have it. So we'll skip over that workshop and go right to the GitHub slide that any code that I write today that we do is part of the community. You'll be able to download from the GitHub URL that you see right there. The bit.ly link will take you to the GitHub URL. If we don't have any code, that URL will take you to the top level tree, and I will include the notes in the YouTube description. I will include the link in the YouTube description. I will also include it in the community post. So right after this is done, YouTube gets done processing its stuff, and I'll post it to the community so that you can find links to the community in the community. They're not time marked, but you can see them in the series and go, oh, he's talking about inbound email actions. About halfway through, so if I go a little further, we'll talk about REST APIs as the next topic. So you can do a little scrubbing and find that information out. It's not quite time marked, but it's relatively good based on topic. Good morning, James. Everybody in the UK. We are planning, James, I don't know if you're going to be at Now Forum in London, but James Neal, who organizes the London Developer Meetup, is organizing a get-together. I believe it's Wednesday evening. I have to double-check my calendar. I don't think it's Tuesday evening. Wednesday evening, because Thursday I fly out. It's either Tuesday evening or I'll have to look. But check with James Neal. He should have a London, I think it's just a pub meetup. We're not doing anything formal. And get together and socialize with a lot of people. Looking forward to that very, very much. So, good morning, Robert from Singapore. I feel like I just have my arms around the whole world. It's a wonderful thing. I think the only people that are sleeping right now are in Hawaii because it's 3 a.m. there. This show is done every day at 1 p.m. UTC. So if you do the math, you can figure out when that is on your calendar. If I'm out of town, if I'm on business travel, if I'm not around, if I'm not feeling well, then of course I won't be doing this. This is a labor of love. I do this for you, the community, and I do enjoy it very, very much. Otherwise, I wouldn't be getting up at 4 a.m. to prepare for a 6 a.m. live stream. It's a good time, and I appreciate everybody doing that. Good morning, Shadi from New York. James Neal is your boss. Well, that's handy. Just stick with him. You can't go wrong. If you go to the events that your boss goes to, it's good for your career, most of the time. Just don't drink too much. There's my career advice for the day. Let's go ahead and into our community, again, over at community.servicenow.com. Appreciate everybody joining this morning. It is Friday night, and we have Singapore online. Certainly there's other things to do in Singapore besides watching the community live stream, but I appreciate it doubly as much. Good on you. If you're watching this afterwards, thank you. Thank you very much for doing that. It is available live. This is, I said Friday, not October yet. That's next week, September 28th. Oh, hey, it's somebody I know. It's their birthday today. So let's keep going. Miriam from Morocco. I just like the alliteration on that. That's fun. Hope I said your name relatively close. My specialty is in the platform and custom applications and integration, so that's generally where I gravitate in the developer community section, or now platform as this one is. If you're posting, make sure that you get it in the right subforum so that you get the right people looking at it, because if it's in security operations, even though it's a developer question, you might not get the right people, and I might gloss right over it. So good morning. I have an issue with passing reference field list values from one table to another. The setup. The first table is a shared table which contains values referenced by catalog item, fields, environment, business group, data sources. On the catalog item, the users can only select environment and business group, and based upon that selection will be a set of data sources. If the selection is environment A and business group financial, then the data sources will be 1, 2, 3, but will change based upon environment and business group selected. Sounds like a reference qualifier. The data sources is a list of reference fields. It's a list, well, it's technically a reference field to a table, but for reporting purposes, we are pushing the requester, requested date, and environment and business group. Where did these parameters come from? I'm losing track quickly. Let's see what we can get through. Business group to another table. I'd like to include data sources pushed to the reporting table as well. Any assistance is greatly appreciated. So, CV is current variables. We're dealing with a catalog item? Did I see that somewhere? Yes, referenced by a catalog item. Okay. Current variables. Task.short description is task.short description. If uSystem is not empty, then begin. If uAccessLog uRoles is CV uRoles get display value. Don't know if I would do get display value there. That might be your problem. What are they doing with that? That's uRoles is the list. They're replacing any one or more spaces with a single space? No, comma? Wow. Okay, then splitting out the comma. I would go by sysid. This is not the place to do display values. The reference field, then for the following system, that's where they want to get it. The uSystem get display value. No, that was uRoles that they split apart. So uSystem is one of the qualifiers. Yes, yes, yes. And then where are they using uRoles again? Add query. Yeah, no. You business groups, uRoles. The main problem I see here, and I'm not even going to go through the rest of the script to try and decipher this. Domain. Wrong keyboard. Wrong keyboard. See what happens when I do that? Weird things happen. Get back there. Okay. Try this again. The main issue I see here is that you are using uRoles display value instead of the values, which are sysids. I would change your cv.uRoles.getDisplayValue to cv.uGetValue uRoles then you don't have to worry about spaces, other special characters, etc. that might mess things up. Treat the sysids, list of sysids, as your reference to the other records. There we go. One down. We'll see if it helps. What else is new? Quick refresh, because things often come in while I'm talking about. We have New York, we have Morocco, we have a lot of people online, and that is a wonderful thing. So it gets me out of bed in the morning. How to pass a value from scheduled job script to workflow task script. Let's find out what we're trying to do here, people. Okay, I created a scheduled job script to trigger task workflow, and it's been successfully creating a task. Now I want to pass a value of group name to task workflow, but it wasn't working because it showed the value undefined. So here's the scheduled job. Owner is in Glide sysuser group, which is going to be a group. We're hard coding a sysid. Not the best practice there, but we'll let it go because I don't know what that is or what it means, even if it's valid, if it works in dev, test, and prod. Okay, then while owner next. You don't really need a while. If you're getting a sysid, it's going to be a unique single record. You can collapse this all down to an if get. I'll show you that in a second. If the owner is uValidation count equals 3, something, then new task, add encoded query, task.query, get the task. This is, I'm losing track of what we're trying to do here. Okay, short description, group validation, follow-up, undefined. They're trying to get something in the short description, this group name. And they're doing a workflow. You may be able to pass in a scratch pad. The other option would be stick a field on the task table. What? They're actually opening a new Glide record task. Who uses task? You shouldn't be using task. You should be creating an incident or an SC task. And doggone it, I'm going to set this keyboard aside because I just bumped another key. If I have to change a screen, I'll change the screen later. I don't have to change my process again if I'm bumping keyboard buttons. The thrills of doing live broadcasts. Good morning, Jagdish. So I have a couple of comments about this before we get going. One is, first, I would recommend against creating a task. This is a generic table that is the base of other processes to extend from. If you want to create a task, I recommend an incident, SC task, project task, change task, project task, change task, or something else specific to the process you need. This also includes creating a new table. For your process if it is not aligned with one of the out-of-box applications. Okay? If you're dealing with the safety department and they need a list of safety issues, create a safety issue table and extend it from task. New table here, extended from task. Now, second part of that is, can we pass in this might be more of the API. So our API documentation, as I mentioned, is over at developer.servicenow.com. Let's look at workflow. I thought we could pass in some scratchpad or other variables. Let's look at the API for constructor workflow because in there he's doing a new workflow. Actually, I wouldn't even worry about starting the workflow that way. I'm not a big fan of, he didn't start it this way. He just said, let's go get the task. Where did he create it? Is the task already created? Task must already be created somewhere. So he's going to get the task, and then he gets the context that's associated with that. Okay, I misspoke. I didn't. I'm not a big fan of doing a start workflow. I believe in letting the workflow start when they normally start, not manually kicking them. It should be a natural progression that the workflow engine is back there watching and saying, hey, this condition happened. Why do I need to manually start it? Okay, so wants to get that and put that in there. Oh, sorry, that's my personal developer instance, and that's the docs, and this is workflow. So can we pass anything in? We can't pass it in there, but there may be a method. Broadcast event, cancel, no. Cancel context. Let's go this way. It's going to be down here. Workflow. There are a lot of classes in here. I invite you to take a look. Okay, broadcast, cancel context, delete, fire event, no. Get context, get estimated. There's got to be some set method here somewhere. Restart, start flow, no. Start flow. So, how to pass information in. Posted a query for creating automatic tests created from field frequency. I'll take a look at that in just a second, Jagdish. I don't want to get too distracted. Workflow variables, maybe. So if you've got the workflow object, the workflow variables are available inside the workflow. And I don't know what context that's running in. But I don't see anything to actually set the workflow variables. There's a possibility, this might be a bit of a hack, but in the workflow context, did he get the context? I didn't check. Yes, he got the context. Oh, wait a minute. He gets the context and there's some variables. That would allow you to get the information out of the workflow context. He is doing a start flow. Doggone it. Don't do that. I missed that before. Okay, so vars.u group name. That's what he's trying to do. He's passing it in with the variables. James, we're on the same track then. He's trying to pass it in via vars object. And it's not coming up because he's using, workflow.inputs. So let's see. Let's go to start workflow. If you got to do it, you got to do it. Context string operation array. Let's start flow retroactive array vars. He passed in an object though. And what type of array is this? Is it a Java array or a JavaScript array? So let's, and wouldn't it be accessed as workflow.variables? So if you're passing in vars, then this shouldn't be inputs, this should be variables. And vars is an object here, but it looks like he's passing in an array. Is it an array of object? We don't have a good example to follow. Collection of variables to add to the workflow. And he just calls get vars. Whatever get vars does or is. Again, we could use a better example. Let's see if there's a better example in here. Start flow. There are 6 mentions of this. Boom, 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 boom. No, that's it. Then let's go to an example. See if we can find an example of something starting the variables. Where might one look for that? Business rule? UI action? Sure, let's start with business rules. So let's go to business rules. See if we can find a business rule that has a start workflow mention in it. I'm waiting. That's metrics business rules. I don't want that. I want system definition business rules. I clicked on the wrong thing somewhere. Build a filter where script contains, start flow, right? Yes, start flow. Maybe we'll get lucky. We're on it. We're out in the wilderness here, looking for something. I don't know what I'm looking for. Take a look at create approval record. There's only 6 that have this, so it shouldn't take too long. And under advanced, we'll take a look at the script. Wait for the form to finish loading, and to make it load a little faster, this is my personal developer instance, I'm turning annotations off. So start flow, current update. They did not do the variables parameter, right? So current operation, insert, update, or delete, but they left out the variables. Nobody passing variables in that one. Oops, wrong window. Let's go to the next one. See what we can find. Morning, Chad from Atlanta. Glad you could join us. We are currently looking for a workflow that's passing variables in. Start flow. Assessment. No variables in that one either. Still looking, still looking. When in doubt, use someone else's code, right? Null, null. Very nice. We could also try an experiment. We could start writing something, see what happens. It'll take a while to set up. Might take me the rest of the hour just to get there. But if that's what it comes to, current dot operation, no, still no variables. Looking for a script. I think there's one more. This one just says get vars. From where? What is get vars? That's what I want to know. See, this one says, okay, calls the function start flow with an ID, does a new workflow, and it does get vars. Huh. One more. Let's go to the 6 of 6 and see what we've got. Maybe. Start flow, very simple. Start flow retroactive. Nope. Nope. What is get vars? That's what I want to know. Is that available? It looks like it's some kind of global function. So it might be in, we're all over the place here. Just.info, get vars. Let's just see if it's defined. I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay, so where does that come from? Is it instantiated with the script? Maybe search for get vars in script include workflow scheduler. That might help. So script include, James is a font of information today. Script includes, which are server-side libraries, and look for script contains get vars. I'm doing a little wider search. Casting my net. Oh, nothing. Interesting. All right. Unless you found something that I missed, I'm going to look at business rules again just to see if script contains get vars. I like the fact that I can type that on one hand. I can use the mouse with one hand, and just this one called start workflow. I think that's the one that I was just looking at. Yes. Huh. What is get vars? If I could find out what it is, I can find out what it returns, and I can help them put this stuff together. So let's do something then. I'm going to try and code this out. New workflow, context equals start workflow ID. ID comes from catalog workflow. Did he get the right ID? Start workflow sysid. There was a way to start this by name, I thought. I don't want to start a workflow by ID. I don't like it. You know what? I'm going to try a couple things here. Somebody's probably already responded to this by now. We've already got one reply on this. Does owner.name have any value? You could try using workflow.variables group name instead of workflow.inputs.group name. I don't know that that's it. We have to do a lot of digging through workflow scripts to find out if workflow inputs is the right way to go. On the start of the workflow business rule, get vars is defined as a function. On the start workflow business rule. Oh, really? Start workflow business rule, get vars. It is a function and uses current.variables. Oh, okay. So if you're doing a catalog item, that makes sense. It's an easy way to transpose the catalog item variables into this, and it is an array. It is an array. So step 2, also discovered, it's an array of what though? That's interesting. Thank you for that information. I was even in the right place, and it was right there. So current variables.n, is it an array of objects? Name value pairs? That variables is an array. You are passing an object. So what do they need to fix to get this working? If they've got vars as an object, vars.uGroupName has a value. That I would try passing it as an array of objects. I don't know what type of object it is. Environment and business group match based upon what the user selected, then retrieve the data sources, which is a list of references, then push that to the other table, which has the same field type. Try passing the variable as an array of objects instead. All right. Interesting problem about passing data around. More of a JavaScript question than a ServiceNow question, but because it's involved with workflows, it kind of is a ServiceNow question. Whew, my brain's kind of hurting on that one. All right, we had a question a little while ago. Brian May says, love that you're doing this live, Chuck. Brian May has a famous counterpart in the band Queen. We also have a listener on one of our podcasts called John Noble, and every time we name him as a Patreon patron, we say, that John Noble? No, not that John Noble. So now I can say, that Brian May? No, not that Brian May. I have posted a query for creating automatic tasks based on a field frequency on the form. Depending on the start date and frequency, all I know is scheduled jobs should be used here, but since I'm not good with scripting, not able to produce any further, please put me in the right direction, Chuck. Jagdish, do me a favor and put the sysid of your community post. So when you're looking at it, you can't paste URLs into YouTube, but what you can do is give me just the last part of that where it says $ID equals community question and sysid equals something. If you give me the last part of that, I can copy and paste that into the URL and take a look. I don't have any ideas just based off of your description. Don't forget to provide context about what you're trying to do when you post questions in the community. As a best practice, asking for technical help may get you a technical solution, but it might not be the right solution. There may be options that should be considered. Chris McClendon raised his hand and then lowered his hand. All right. We had an answer on that one. Let's try one more. This is not going to be my highest throughput day by any means, but we are having a wonderful discussion and I appreciate the interaction on the chat. Let's look at unreplied. Business rule loop when copying comments from task to item. No solution found. All right. Comments, as you may not be aware, are treated separately than other fields because comments are actually in a related table and they're rendered in line. It's called a journal field. The idea is that you add a comment and it goes into a journal. Work notes is the same way. It's a journal field. And you can't simply say, hey, print the comments because they're in a separate table technically. If you want to get that content, you can say get journal entry. So I need to copy all comments from task to item and vice versa. I really would look strongly at the use case before doing this blindly. A lot of people say, hey, I need to comment, take all the task comments and copy to the request item, and all the request item comments and copy to the task. You're replicating a lot of information. You're making a lot of noise and potentially triggering a lot of notifications for people who don't care. And when notifications go out and people don't care, they stop paying attention and then they become ineffective. So I need to copy all comments from task to item and vice versa. I've created 2 business rules to do so. I'm facing a problem in a loop. Yes, that's going to happen if you say A updates B, and if B gets updated, update A. Well, now A is updated. I've read plenty of posts talking about this problem and tested all solutions, but none of them worked. He's tried set workflow false, compared the user logged into the assigned to, changed the business rule to before and after, changed something like comments index of comment 0. Can anybody help me? Okay. On the request SE rec item, I have Update the tasks and go find all the tasks and copy the comments to all the tasks. Ow! On SC task, I have get the parent request item and copy the current comment there. So is interactive probably isn't going to do us any good in this case because the person is interactive throughout this process. There is a reply. Copy comments from SC task to RITM and copy comments from RITM to work notes on SC task, but add a condition to check if updated by assigned to on a task. Okay, I'm going to throw in my concern. I have a concern about this requirement in that it's going to create a lot of noise on all the records involved. If you have 5 subtasks, I don't even think they're looking for active and inactive here. Yeah, it's just go get me all of the tasks. So, and consider some of them are completed. You are updating a lot of records. Let's make sure we get all the words I said. A lot of records with that comment. That could also potentially trigger notifications, some of which are going to people who aren't involved, don't care, no longer involved, don't care, etc. The more notifications you make, the less people pay attention to them, and then they become ineffective. Before implementing this, really, let's put that in there, really take a strong look at the use case and how it could be used. I don't think I would want to, no, I don't think, I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of these notifications and comments if they didn't apply to what I was doing. Okay. Take a look at them. Question everything. Question everything. Even if it sounds like a good idea, consider what happens. Many people assume I have one request item, one task. That's not always going to be the case. And you're going to get, because it's a one-to-many relationship, you're going to get many tasks and many request items under a single request. And that goes for any one-to-many relationship. Rolling up figures is a fine thing to do. Take the number of hours from all of the subtasks and roll them up to a parent task. Great. That's a roll up, but that's not a roll down of take a comment and spread it around all these child tasks. So my gut just doesn't like that requirement, and I would tell somebody flat out. I would say, have you considered these use cases? Have you considered what's going to happen? Do you realize this is a customization, and we have to test this on every release, we have to maintain it, we have to make sure there is a cost beyond just the implementation. Okay. Chad says, or is it easy to do a database view with the routing table and the reporting table just to get the data sources? Chad, I must have missed something here. Thanks for answering the question. I will make those edits. Oh, Chad, you're the one who posted the one about the roles and the groups and whatnot. Let's see what else we have in here. Refresh, quick update. Question on single score report, number rounding. Performance analytics report. I'm not much of an analytics person, but single score report seems benign enough. I'm trying to pull a report and get a single score by using report type as a single score. But when I pull the report, I'm getting the score with a big number, which is in billions, but I need number rounding in millions. I tried decimal precision, but it didn't work. Can anyone guide me through this issue? In fact, I need a single score, but let me know if we can pull any of the report types. I have not done that. So if it says 2,400,368, you just want to say 2,400,000. No idea, but I like that question, and I'm going to subscribe to it, see what comes up later. JavaScript and CSS includes not showing in the widget dependency. I don't think they show in the widget dependency. You hook those up to the dependency record, but let's see what happens. Take a quick look. This is if I'm making a custom widget. I've been doing some work on my own developer instance with Kingston version and a new portal. I've used a widget dependency to include an external JavaScript plugin, which works just fine. However, I am now looking at the port of my work over to the dev environment, which is still in Jakarta, and this is where the issue is. I have set up a widget dependency, but am unable to associate the JS include and CSS include, as they do not seem to appear in the related list. I've tried configuring the related list, but they do not even appear in the slush bucket as options. Odd. Is this functionality available in Jakarta? Hoping someone will... I haven't done anything with porting stuff over to another instance. I want to keep track of that one as well. Let's see what happens. Is it possible to create a copy of the base service portal? I know you can copy pages, but I don't know if you can copy the... I want a copy of the service portal on my developer instance and move it to another. I want a copy of the service portal. So if I go to service portal, I know you can copy a widget, and I have a UI action to copy a page. But if I go to portals and say, here's the base service portal, update, try it. I don't think there's a copy in here now. You'd have to copy all of the related pages that are in there as well. Isn't there a search sources? You'd have to copy those. There's a bit of work to do. You could do it. You could do it. But I don't have a means of doing that out of the box that I can see. Something tells me this question may have come up again. Come up before. Copy portal. So it comes up. Copy permalink, portal picker, LDAP, copy attachment, difference between Istanbul and Jakarta, referencing on load. Copy out of the box service portal, not translating. Take the service portal variables, portal designer. Maybe it's in the service portal designer. Maybe configuration. Come on. Designer. Or potentially, that lets you add a new page. That's the page designer. What about create a new portal? Nope. 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 What about... Oh, no, I closed it. Okay. I don't see one out of the box. It is quarter to the hour. I would like to switch gears here instead of going to something new. I want to mention, do something I saw before that came up in a response to a rather old thread that I had. And somebody said, hey, I've got a UI action, a list UI action, and it's prompting me to select records. So I said, okay, let me try this. And I pulled up an application that I wrote for last week's demo, and I added an active field, set some of these to true. In fact, let's do a whole bunch of them. And I wanted to create a UI action called deactivate all active. So it would go through and search for, they said, hey, I'm just doing a quick glide record query, find all the records that are, say, unsent and change them to sent. I did something very similar and set it to active equals true. So, oops, I wanted to go to Configure, UI Actions, and show you how I did that. Because first, I got to get to the right scope. Second, I have to break it. So I'm going to break this system to show you what the issue is and how I resolved it. So this UI action sits at the top of the package list, and I would like it to go through and change all the true values to false. And if I click it, it says, you need to select some records. Okay, so if I select that record, then it will work. It sets all trues to false, but that's annoying. So there is a way to do this in ServiceNow. Let me change some of these back to true. And I found this out. I said, I know there's a way. I've seen it before. Michael Ritchie posted a response to the same type of question. Again, I encourage you to search the community before posting, because there's often a thread out there. After 12, 14 years of community, there's a thread for a lot of stuff out there. But what I did is went to Configure, UI Action. I built my UI action, of course, to do what I want, but I want to get rid of that message. And the answer is quite simple, actually. So this just does a simple glide record query. Go find all the records where active is true, change them to false, but of course it prompts. The answer is in the action name. The action name, if it starts with sysverb underscore anything, and I could literally type in anything there, try to avoid the keywords that are already in use, insert, new, insert or update, cancel. Use something a little more suitable for you, like sysverb under deactivate everything. Okay. I know that's not used by ServiceNow. It's not going to happen. And I hit update. Now if I go back to the package and click deactivate, it will do it without prompting me for anything. So the answer is sysverb underscore some non-keyword. Easy to do. Okay. Wouldn't be able to done with update from the list editor. Robert is saying, wouldn't it be able to be done with an update all from the list header? You could, but you would update all to what? Update all 7 records, and then you bring up a form. You could do that, but if the field isn't on my form, there's no update field here, can't do it. You say, well, why don't you add an update, an active field? No, there is active, true and false. But if it were not there, you couldn't do it. And I really, why it chooses to display, oh, I know why. I was going to say, active is a true-false field. Why is it showing as a choice list? Because if you leave it as none, it says don't do anything to this field. You have to represent a true-false with this trinary operation of, is it true, is it false, is it done? Could do it this way. They wanted it to be a quick UI action to go through and look for all records and do something to this. This, again, takes extra clicks. Mine does not. It takes one click and it does what it does. So yeah, you could do this. Update all. I don't use that too often, but it's a good way to do that. You would also first have to build a filter that says, okay, show me only the true ones, because I don't want to update all the records in this list. I only want to do the ones that match this condition. That's step 1, is build a filter to get the records you want. Then update all also has a risk, in my opinion, because depending on what security they have, oops, that's configure all, excuse me. Update all has another risk that says, okay, I've got these 7 records, and somebody says, well, I want to also change the destination to Chicago, not Chuck. Thank you, Fingers, for trying to remember what my name is. You've got the risk of somebody changing. It's like, no, I want the script to just update all of the trues to falses. This is giving somebody way too much opportunity to mess up something else, like the number.
If I did an update all on number, better hope that number is a read-only field, because that could get you in trouble. I like update all. I'm not bashing it, but it's got some risk to it as well. So that is my, hey, look what I found kind of thing. Let's see, what else do we have time for? The event queue. There was a question about the event queue that came up as well. I'll move that up here because this goes in my show notes later. The event queue, somebody was saying they're new to ServiceNow and they don't quite understand the event queue. And I don't really have an illustration for this. I don't have a way to make a quick illustration for this. But the event queue is really fairly simple. If you look for the event registry, actually I'm just typing registry. There's a performance analytics event registry. That's not the one. I want system policy events registry. There is a list of events, 443 of them. That number sounds familiar. You've been doing too much SSL and HTTPS. But that's a nerd reference off to the side. There are 443 of these. These are just named records. It has a name, usually in a dotted notation. For example, many of the incident ones start with incident. Many of the change request ones start with change. So if you're basing your events on a table event, a record being inserted, a record being updated, a record being approved, make it start with the table name for easier reference, or application name. If you're using a scoped application, that's even more fun. All right, so you can create a named event. That just says this is available for use. If it's not in the registry, it's not going to be recognized and it's not going to be used. So be sure to first, step one is register it. Okay, so let's do that. If I'm in a scoped application and I just type in Chuck, it will call it with the scope name, and I don't have to worry about any other issues. If I'm in global, it's going to say, do you want to leave this? And I say, yes. Let's reload this. And now I'm in global. I have to give it a better name, like tn56.chuck. The table that I want to work on, but you know what? Just for giggles, I'm going to stick with the scoped app. It saves me a lot of hassle in certain respects. So I will call this one Chuck, and I get an event name. I'll copy that because I need that, and I'm going to make this run on the packages table. Now, that's really only necessary or important if you are doing record operations on that. You could trigger this event from anywhere. All right? Events are fun. Events are fun because it allows you to do asynchronous processes just by lobbing a grenade over the wall and saying, here, system, you do it. Okay? Or notifications. So I can give it some helpful description and say, it's fired by my fix script as a test. And put in a helpful description. This is for the community live stream demo. And the dawn chorus is out there. It's garbage and recycle day. Now I've registered the event. That's step one. Step two is, how do you actually use it? Well, from a script, let's go to scripts background. I can use it this way by saying gs.eventQueue and then the name. QUE. Give it the name, and then a glide record. I don't have one, so I'm going to put in null, and then two optional string parameters. So I can say nothing and nothing. Well, actually, let's put something in. Chuck was here. This is a test. Okay. You can put in other things like gs.getUserID if you want to see the sysid of who ran this. And when I run it, it appears that apparently nothing happened. But what it did is, if I go to the event log, I can see, if I sort these reverse chronological, it triggered the event, it fired the event. with the two parameters. What good does that do? Well, it says that the event engine recognized it and processed it. In fact, if you go over here, it says, oh, there wasn't anything to process. The event queue is going to do a couple of things. It's going to check, are there any notifications that are triggered by this event? Let's set one up. So if I go to notifications, not service creator notifications, I want system notifications, and create a new event. I went through this a week or so ago about the many ways you can do, don't show this again, many ways you can do events. Okay, so I can say CLS demo, make that point to my package table, which is down here, the TN56QT, and say, I want to trigger this notification when an event is fired. And immediately it takes out the insert and updated part and says, okay, you're in charge, you know what you're doing. And down here is my X66238 TN56QT.chuck. That's the event I want to trigger this. Now, I could potentially have 5 or 6 or 25 notifications all responding to this event. So one event goes into the queue and it goes, oh, look at all these notifications that I can run. Which one would you like to run? Well, I want this particular one to run when the destination is Chicago. And I can filter these out so not all 25 are going to run. But it says, you know what? You guys are out. You don't meet the condition. You guys are out. You don't meet the condition. And maybe one notification gets through this filter. So you can set up one event to trigger multiple notifications and then use conditions. So a filtering mechanism to do that. I've done that for languages. If the recipient's language is, if the caller's language is English, let's send the English translation. If the caller's language is French, let's send the French translation. But it's all triggered by one event saying, go tell somebody something got updated. That's one way to do it. There's advantages and disadvantages to doing that. Who will receive it? Oh, let's just say me for the lack of anything better to do. The subject is CLS event triggered. And what it's going to say, hello. If I save that, I can use the wonderful preview notification to take a look at what it's going to look like. It's going to chuck, but it's not going to chuck because my notification is disabled. That's what that nice red strike through looks like, and that's what the notification will look like. And if I trigger that event again from script's background, of course it's not going to send that because my notification is disabled. Let's do that and fix that. Fix that. User A, we're running out of time, but this is kind of fun. So I'll go a little long. Take that, put that in there. Notification disable. Change that to notification enable. Go back to my notification record. And preview now. Do I get it? Probably don't have a device set up. I do. Okay, it's going to set it and it's going to run it. So theoretically, if I still have that name in the buffer, I can go to scripts background, gs.eventQueue, yay, null, gs.getUserID, let's put that there, and gs. Yeah, whatever. I'll leave that one blank. It triggered the event. Let's go back to the events created today. There it is with the society that I told it. And now if I go to the system mailbox, I should see in the outbox, it's not going to be sent yet. Takes a second or two for mail to get processed. Should see, here's the tricky part. You gotta be patient. You gotta be patient. Hard to be patient when you do events. Do I even have an email address on my user account? I better, or wouldn't send. Okay. Would using events and running a GR query on event be a way to ensure a notification would be only sent once? Not necessarily, because the event is going to be triggered, be fired once, but then you would need to, it depends on what is responding to that event. Notifications are one, the other is a script action. So script action is, with an event, is a bit of a way of doing an asynchronous operation. And if I create a new script action that says CLS demo, again, I can use the X66238 blah, blah, blah event. And whenever that event is triggered, I could just do gs.info, my script ran. Bit of a simple example. Let's make that active. I don't know why it defaults to not active, but keep your eye out for that. Gets a bit annoying. You can run these in an order so that if an event is triggered, you could run the first one first, second one second, third one third, that kind of thing. Go back to, I should have copied the entire script. I don't know why I didn't do that. Let's do it one more time. Scripts background. Thank you very much. gs.eventQ, name, null, empty, empty. And I can get my hands on those parameters inside of the script if I want, but I won't this time. Let's go to the system logs, all, and background script run. That's my background script. Do I have my message yet that says my script ran? My script ran. There it is. So I use one script to trigger an event and then move on and do whatever it wants to do. In the background, the event is handled by the script action or notification. So I can do that with events. It's just a way of taking putting a tag, if you will, out there on the system and saying, I would like to use that to trigger these other things. And if you look at an event, let's go back to the event registry real quick. System policy, events, event registry. Let's take the one that was updated most recently, which will be mine. And down here it says, show me business rules that are for this table. And show me notifications that might be using this. So it's an easy way to say, all right, what did I do that, how can I reverse engineer this? Script actions would be nice too if it did a query on what script actions were responding to that event. So that's my shtick on events. Hopefully that clarifies your understanding of how to use them in the system to do background processing. I've used this, I covered this a few weeks ago, that I had an action that needed to be performed in the background. It was an outbound REST operation. And I wanted that to happen, but I also needed to leverage in a business rule the current and previous to say, hey, if the state changes or if this value changes is not available in an async business rule. So you can't, but yet you have to fire the outbound message from an async rule, but I didn't have what I needed. And you can't fire the outbound REST message from an after business rule. So I used the after rule to use both current and previous to do the changes part of it, and then used an event to trigger a script action, which happens asynchronously. So it's a two-part version, almost like one script, not almost like, it's exactly like, one script calling another script to do what I need in the background, but yet get the value of the the current and previous part. Hope that made any sense. If not, I can do another demonstration of that if you want to look at that. That's all I've got for today. Do the big screen, and, well, that was kind of a neat twist action as I got larger. Thank you very much for joining me today. I appreciate all the viewership, all the comments, great discussion. Look forward to seeing you Monday if everything works out. That's the plan. And then a lot of global travel coming up the week of October 8th. So no community live stream for a couple of weeks, but maybe that'll give you a chance to catch up on any previous episodes you may have missed. Until then, until Monday, I look forward to seeing you. Take care and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.